Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's story. The city was half awake beneath a bruised sky. Thunder rolled like a slow confession, and through the glass walls of his office, Alex watched the rain streaking downward, endless, relentless, as if the sky itself carried guilt. On his desk lay a folder, the same one that had almost destroyed everything he built. In that moment, he heard the faint knock of a woman's heel echo down the corridor. Mai stood in the doorway, drenched from the storm, her breath trembling, but eyes fixed on him. She did not come to speak. She came to kneel, and somewhere, under another umbrella, Tuna was already running through the rain, her hand pressed to her chest, fearing what love might cost this time. Outside, the thunder pressed its palm against the glass. Inside, 3 souls waited for the silence to choose whose truth would survive the night. Don't forget to like and subscribe. The truth is just beginning to unfold. Rain was not just rain that evening. It was time falling apart, minute by minute. Mai's knees touched the marble floor, leaving 2 oval marks that gleamed like wounded moons. Her tears blended with the rain dripping from her hair, pooling beneath her palms. She whispered, "I didn't come here to fight, Alex. I came here to kneel." Across from her, Alex stood unmoving. His shirt sleeves were rolled up, veins tense beneath the skin. The folder on the table lay open, emails, signatures, evidence. Each page was a ghost of his trust. From behind the door, Tuna watched, her breath shallow, her heart beating in sync with the thunder. The narrow light between the door and wall became her witness. When Alex finally spoke, his voice was low and mercilessly calm. "You came to ask for forgiveness," he said. "But forgiveness is not a door you can open whenever you wish." Mai's shoulders trembled. "I was desperate," she murmured, voice cracking like glass. "I lost everything." He pressed the folder flat with 2 fingers, holding it steady as though he were keeping his rage from spilling. "No," he said. "You closed your eyes when you should have turned your head." The room pulsed with silence. Tuna stepped inside, slowly, carefully, and stood beside him. She didn't touch him. She only lent him her stillness. "You want forgiveness like money," she said softly. "Quick, countable, but it doesn't work that way." Mai looked up, eyes raw and searching. "Then what do I do?" "Speak," Alex said. "Tell the truth." A flash of lightning tore the sky. In that white light, all 3 faces were visible: regret, endurance, and quiet love, woven together by the same storm. The thunder outside softened into a long, exhausted sigh. Mai lifted her head, her lips parted, her voice so faint it could have been mistaken for prayer. "I gave them the bidding proposal," she confessed. Her words struck the air, light but sharp. "I told them when you were most vulnerable, after the suppliers withdrew, after the board meeting. I knew who you called, who didn't answer. I used that." Alex's jaw tightened. He didn't move, didn't interrupt. Silence itself seemed to lean forward to listen. "I wanted to win in life," Mai continued, "more than I wanted to be someone you could love." Her voice broke. "I turned myself into the kind of woman who kneels before her ex." Rain beat against the windows, not cruelly, but like applause for a truth too late. Tuna inhaled sharply, her chest aching. The woman kneeling before them wasn't just an enemy. She was a mirror of everything they had once feared becoming. Alex reached for the folder, closed it, and slid it into the drawer. "You can't repay trust," he said quietly. "You can only face it." Lightning rippled once more, a vein of white cutting across the dark. Alex turned to Mai, his voice now stripped of judgment. "This is your final apology, not because I'm forgiving, but because I've had enough." The words fell heavy, not an ending, but a verdict. Mai nodded. "I'll resign from their company. I'll confess in writing. I'll send everything tonight, every account, every lie." Alex listened, every muscle taut but his eyes unblinking, as though he were relearning how to breathe. Tuna spoke, calm but piercing. "If you want redemption, take responsibility, and don't ask for anything in return." Mai swallowed hard. "I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm asking for sleep." Thunder rumbled again, closer this time, like the sky itself wanted to witness this quiet undoing. And in that trembling silence, Alex whispered the line that split the storm from the dawn. "Then stand up." The sound of her knees lifting from the floor was softer than rain. But to Alex, it was the loudest sound he had ever heard. And at that moment, everything changed. Mai stood unsteady, her breath hitching as if every inhale might break her again. The light above flickered, neither bright nor dim, as if the world itself couldn't decide whether to punish or absolve. Alex stepped around the table, keeping an arm's length between them. "You'll draft your confession," he said. "Detail everything, names, dates, accounts, and send it tonight." Mai nodded. "I will." Tuna watched them, her heart quiet yet vigilant. Between justice and love, she had learned to live in the seam. For a long moment, no one spoke. The rain eased into a whisper. The clock ticked once, then twice, time crawling forward again after being frozen in guilt. Then Alex said the thing that none of them expected. "You'll call Mr. Fan," he instructed, "and tell him how you manipulated the bidding. Tell him his suspicion of us was wrong." Mai blinked, almost grateful for an order so absolute. "I will. And if he asks why..." She hesitated. "Tell him this rain finally made me confess." A faint smile flickered across Alex's lips. Not forgiveness, but acknowledgement, like a man recognizing the ghost that had haunted him for too long. Tuna's shoulders eased. The storm had passed, but its echo lingered in the damp air. May gathered her things, bowed her head and whispered, "Thank you for not calling the police." Alex looked at her steadily. "I didn't do this for you," he said. "I did it for the person I still want to be." She turned toward Tuna, eyes glistening. "You're the kind of friend I don't know how to keep. You deserve better, always have." Tuna's reply was soft yet unwavering. "Then let this truth be the start of what you owe the next person who trusts you." Mai exhaled, half sigh, half promise. She turned the doorknob and stepped out. The door closed gently behind her, not as an end, but as a seal, a soundless farewell. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was clear, fragile, almost holy. For a long time, Alex didn't move. The hum of the building returned, the air conditioning whispering like a slow breath. On the table, a ring of water slowly dried into a crescent, the shape of something that had endured pain but refused to break. Tuna crossed the space between them, her hair still damp from the rain. She touched his sleeve lightly. "Breathe gently," she murmured. He obeyed, a small human sound escaping his chest, tremoring through the silence. She smiled faintly. "You shouldn't have faced this alone." He met her gaze, voice low. "It's different now." Her cool hand brushed his cheek, grounding him back to warmth. "If you forget who you are in all of this," she whispered, "I'll remind you." He closed his eyes, forehead resting against hers, the kind of silence that carried meaning louder than words. When he opened them again, they were clearer, lighter, as if the storm had rinsed him clean from the inside out. "Tell me," he whispered. "You are the kind of man," she said, "who draws a line and never lets it turn cruel. You are the one I trust and the one I love." Her confession trembled like a candle, fragile, but it didn't go out. Outside, thunder drifted away into distance. Inside, the rain's reflection painted them into a quiet tableau of survival, two figures framed by light and forgiveness. They didn't speak for a while. The hum of the fluorescent lights filled the void, tender and persistent, like the city learning how to breathe again. Alex finally straightened up, professionalism quietly resettling on his shoulders. Not as armor, but as acceptance. A knock on the door interrupted the calm. The receptionist's gentle voice, "Sir, the team wants to confirm tomorrow's presentation. Should I tell them you'll review it in the morning?" He exhaled slowly, like someone returning from a long journey. "Yes, tell them 9 o'clock. The big room still leaks." The door closed. Normal life crept back in, one heartbeat, one breath, one spreadsheet at a time. Tuna looked at him. "It's a miracle," she said quietly. He smiled, faint and real. "Yes, the kind that happens after storms." They stepped into the corridor together. The rain had faded into mist, wrapping the world in a soft, forgiving blur. Outside the lobby, Tuna's cream-colored motorcycle shimmered with raindrops like small universes. She wiped the seat with her sleeve. He steadied the handlebars, his hand lingering, asking for one more second of closeness before letting go. "Drive carefully," he said, voice softer than the air. She fastened her helmet. The click beneath her chin sounded like a promise. "Text me," she said, "after you've written your statement. I want to read it before you send it. Not because I doubt you, but because I want to stand beside you, even in those words." He nodded, something warm flickering behind his eyes. The heaviness of the day dissolved, replaced by the quiet pulse of faith. Tuna started the engine. The motorcycle purred, cutting through the damp evening. She glanced back once. Under the awning stood Alex, hands in pockets, the faintest smile playing on his lips, not triumphant, but at peace. The city's lights stretched beyond them like veins of gold, reflections of a world reborn after rain. "Alex," she whispered to herself as she waited at the red light, "if the world breaks you again, let it know it must defeat me first." The light turned green. She rode forward, her silhouette melting into the mist. Back upstairs, Alex reopened his laptop. The list waited. Deadlines, evidence, the truth itself. But this time, his hands didn't tremble. He finished, sent the messages, and looked once more at the empty room, still faintly echoing with rain, forgiveness, and a woman's quiet resolve. He turned off the light. Outside, the final raindrop slipped down the window, tracing the faint curve of dawn. And in that silence, he realized, not every apology brings someone back. Some only make space for love to stay, not because it was forgotten, but because it was finally understood. Maybe love doesn't end, it just changes shape.
Giữa cơn mưa buổi chiều, Mai quỳ gối trước Alex xin tha thứ cho lỗi lầm đã từng khiến công ty anh suýt đổ vỡ. Bên ngoài, Tử Na lặng lẽ bước vào, mang theo trái tim vừa yêu vừa sợ mất. Trong căn phòng ẩm lạnh ấy, sự thật được phơi bày, tội lỗi, niềm tin, tình yêu bị thử thách. Alex không báo cảnh sát, anh chọn sự thật để Mai tự đối mặt. Khi cô rời đi, cơn mưa cũng dừng lại. Tử Na chạm vào anh nhẹ như ánh sáng sau bão. Họ không nói yêu, chỉ dừng thở sau một thời gian bình yên mới.